Good afternoon, and welcome to the Idaho Falls Luncheon Series. I'm Dana Kirkham. I'm happy to be your host today. This series is presented by the Idaho Falls Rotary Club and the Idaho Falls Chamber of Commerce. So we hope that you're taking a break from work or maybe from homeschooling or whatever it is you're doing, and you're joining us this afternoon. We're here in the IE production studio, and they have been really great throughout this whole pandemic to offer their resources and their staff so that we can make these presentations. So we're really grateful to them. So today we have the opportunity to discuss how COVID-19 has impacted some of our local businesses, and specifically some of our small businesses. So in the studio, and we are practicing social distancing, so it's a little bit of a wonky format because I have people in front of me and behind me, and we're trying to have a conversation, so I hope that you'll keep that in mind as we proceed. We have three sectors from the business community with us today. Representing retail, we have Love at First Bite owner Mike Richards. To my left, we have representing the salon community, Liz Ritchie from Eternity Salon, and then to my right and in the back that you can't see, but just so you kind of know what the format is like, we have the owner of Firehouse Grill, Kevin Fleur. So we're going to begin by having them just give a brief introduction of who they are, where they are, what they do, and then we'll jump into the conversation from there. So maybe, Mike, why don't you kick it off?
Thank you, Dana. Yeah, my wife and I, Julie, we started our business almost 10 years ago. We're in Snake River Landing. We've expanded 2 different times. Just recently, last October, we added an additional 2,000 square feet to our store. And we carry things. We started out as a bakery and chocolate shop. We added a lot of retail gourmet foods, local cheeses, local products, and a lot of gift items and retro candy. So we feel like we have a big variety of things to come in and be able to relax, take your time, and just have fun looking at a variety of different things.
Great. Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin Fleur, my wife Carol and I own the Firehouse Grill, and my kids are involved in managing the grill also. We've been in the community for a long time. We've had the Firehouse Grill for 18 years, and we've been kind of a local hotspot, a social spot, and we've really enjoyed this community, and we hope to get things somewhat normal and go on from here.
Great. And Liz, how about introduce yourself and your salon?
Hi, I'm Liz Ritchie. I'm the owner of Eternity Salon on Holmes Avenue in Idaho Falls. We are a full-service salon. We offer aesthetics as well. And I've been there for about 10 years now, but I've been a hairdresser for 28 years.
Well, welcome. Thank you all for being here. We know that COVID-19 has presented challenges for everyone, but small businesses in particular. And as we look toward reopening and trying to get everything back into full swing, the purpose of this format or this forum is really to try to build consumer confidence and help people understand what they can expect when they go back to visiting these establishments. So to begin with, and maybe we'll start with you, Kevin, this time, if you could maybe talk a little bit about how COVID-19 has impacted the restaurant industry, and then specifically how it has impacted your business.
Well, the restaurant industry has just been hammered by this. You try to make lemonade out of lemons, but this is a box full of lemons, so we're really trying to work through this. Not only small business, but multiple store places, big chains, probably are closer to closure now than they've ever been before. I mean, it's just you couldn't have predicted a more perfect storm than what we're doing right now or going through right now. But at the same time, in our business, we came to through deliberation, we came to the idea that either we stay open and try to do curbside or take advantage of this. And so we decided to remodel. We decided to clean and have even our HVAC ducts and hospital foggers with disinfectant. So you come into the firehouse now, we're going to have social distancing. but we'll also have a clean box to work with. You can be comfortable with that. And I think a lot of the restaurants, that's what they need to look at going forward, is how can we have a clean box? And that's the decision, and that's what we did. And we're really looking at the disinfectant side of things and keeping it clean and safe for everybody.
So, Kevin, as you look to reopen on Saturday, what are some of the modifications that you've had to make to keep your customers safe and to keep your employees safe?
Well, we've had to increase our spacing on tables, and with the remodel process, I've also decided to increase our patio spacing. So we've about doubled our patio spacing, and even at that, you're in an entertainment business too, even though it's food. So you want to make everything presentable, and that's what we try to do. So what we've done is we increased the spacing, opened up the patio, made a bigger patio, and then inside, what we've done is, I think we're probably one of the few restaurants in Idaho that we've brought in electrostatic foggers. And these foggers that we use, that we can fog areas. When people leave, we can fog areas and lay a antibacteria side down and hopefully kill everything there. And plus all the other sanitization efforts we've done. We'll also have our employees in masks and trying as much as possible to be normal in the new normal that we are right now. And I think going forward, we can manage this situation going forward, but we also need help with the community and the people that come in also to kind of self-manage themselves a little bit too. And if we all are in the same boat together and doing the same thing and trying to do the same thing right, I think we're all going to be better off for it.
I suppose it is a little difficult for your establishment to require masks, since it's a little hard to eat with a mask on, right? So your employees will be wearing masks, but your customers will not be required to.
Yeah, I mean, the customers coming in, the employees coming in the back door will do health checks every day. We'll have thermometers. We'll temp our employees. We'll have a set of questions that we ask each employee. And as far as the employees coming in, I don't think anybody would have to worry about that, because that'll all be taken care of before you get there. People coming in, if you want to wear a mask coming in, and like you say, if you have to eat, if you wear a mask coming in, that's great. We're all for that. But when you do have to take that mask off, you got to eat. So every precaution that we can do, we're taking right now. And I think, like I said, I'm more proactive than negative, so we're just pushing forward with it.
And let me ask you one last question, then we'll move on. The governor has asked before reopening that businesses have a plan for reopening, outlining all of the things that you've talked about. So my question is, if a customer were to enter your establishment, or if an employee, one of your employees, were to ask to see this plan, would you be willing to show it to them?
Well, we can do the plan. We've already submitted our plan, and it was a hard copy to the health department. But so right now we don't have the plan in as far as a copy of the plan. The health department has that, and we're following the guidelines on that. But I'd be more than willing to tell anybody what is involved in everything we've done. And the thing that we need to understand is, I've been in this business for 38 years, and my priority is keeping people safe. Because in our business, it's not just people coming in the door, it's friends that we've developed, it's family and friends of family. And my biggest priority is keeping people safe and have a sanitized area where people can feel comfortable and relaxed and have a break.
Great, thank you. All right, Liz, we're going to move over to you, because you are also looking to Saturday to reopen your salon. So I'd like you to speak a little bit about the impact to the industry in general, and then how it has impacted your salon specifically.
Well, the impact to the industry, I believe, would be most of us are self-employed. So we rely on our income working behind the chair and taking care of people every day to survive. So not being able to do that has probably been the hardest thing, and then trying to find resources to get through this time. As far as my salon goes, I'm going to say probably the biggest impact has been all of us not being able to. I have 8 other girls besides myself that work there, and we all have families that we need to support. So I think that's probably been the biggest impact, is not being able to do what we love.
And I have to say firsthand, as this has waned on, that I think you are definitely essential employees. We need you desperately. So as you reopen, tell us what that will look like. When you go to the salon, what are the expectations? What's the expectation for the customer and also for the employees?
Absolutely. First and foremost, our client safety is our number one priority, our main concern. We already have really rigorous sanitation guidelines that we have to follow, so we will continue to do those things, as well as temperature checks for all of the staff. All of the staff will be wearing masks. Clients are able to choose whether or not they want to wear one. We have some stylists that, for their own personal safety, are requesting that their clients wear masks. And we've basically just followed the protocol for close contact businesses as far as what the governor's lined out, to make sure that we're doing everything that we can do to mitigate the spread and keep everyone safe while they're in our salon.
So what's the biggest challenge you say that you have faced as you've tried to balance being a good citizen and balance making a living?
Oh, that has definitely been a challenge. Just trying to make sure we're doing the right thing and have some integrity and keep our eye on the main goal, which is being able to open again and open safely.
And I'll ask you, if a customer asked to see your plan for reopening, would you be willing to show it to them?
Oh, absolutely. And basically, it's the protocol that was set forth by the governor on Rebound Idaho. So that's accessible to anyone, and they can go over the guidelines and make sure that we're following and doing the things that we're supposed to do. And above and beyond that, we're taking extra steps to make sure that we're safe. We've alternated our schedules to maintain 6-foot social distance, so we're not all in the salon at the same time. Eliminated our waiting room so that we don't have people waiting inside. We're only doing one appointment at a time. We're not allowed to accept any walk-ins at this time, and we've asked all of our clients to remain in their car and text us or call us when they get there, and we'll come out and escort them in and take temperatures and do a few health questions, and then we just get to sit back and relax and forget about what's going on outside for the time that they're in our salon, and we get to pamper them and make them feel good as best we can during this time.
That's great. Sounds amazing. Sign me up. There's a lot that needs to happen here. All right, let's move to you, Mike. You represent the retail community, and I'd like to know how you feel like COVID-19 has impacted the retail industry and specifically Love at First Bite.
Yes, just like what everybody else has said, we are there to support ourselves. Is one of the objectives of being in business, of course. Another is we support a group of employees that we really depend on. Most of them are living paycheck to paycheck, and so it's a difficult thing when you have to downsize or either postpone services and not allow them to bring home an income. That makes a big impact on our communities and also the individuals that we love and support. Our specific industry, we do quite a bit of catering, quite a few events. So when these weddings and other meetings and events are canceled, there were a lot of situations where we had to refund money. And then those are events that may never happen again. So that's lost revenue that will never happen again. Some things will be rescheduled, but there's other events that will just never happen again. So that's lost income and lost opportunities there. And so also for our business, I think just you worry about people If your store's not open for a period of time, you worry about the habits. You know, we were on schedule at our company. Because of our expansion, we gambled or kind of hoped that that expansion would build revenue and opportunities there, and it definitely did. We were on track. Come February, we were on track to have the best year ever that we had, and then something like this hits. And I'm sure there's common stories with other retail and other businesses all throughout the community and throughout the nation that have a similar story to tell.
So as Love at First Bite continues to operate, because I know you've had the advantage of opening a little sooner than the restaurants and the salons, as customers come to your store, what can they expect and how can they feel safe?
Yeah, so we chose to participate in the Look, Ask, Share program that the chambers are doing here locally. I feel like that's I think it complements what the governor is trying to accomplish, but also give confidence back to the community that there are businesses out there that are willing to present the environment that is safe and conducive for families and individuals to be able to feel confident to shop again. We're doing much of the same things that have already been spoken of as far as encouraging 6-foot distancing to the point where we've got stickers on the floor that remind people to practice that. We have signage sporadically through the store to remind people to practice social distancing. We have sanitizer at the counter for anyone who would like to use that, and we encourage that. We are requiring that our employees who are interacting with the customers, that they have face masks. We have extra face masks at the store, so we encourage customers to come in with face masks as well. And I would like to say that our community, for the most part, has really stepped up. I think if you were to look at our community even 2 to 3 weeks ago, I was a little embarrassed for our community because I felt like when I went out, if I had to go to a store or something, that I felt like I was the odd man wearing a face mask. But lately, it seems like in the last week or so, our community has really stepped up, and I think the people that are not wearing face masks are the ones that kind of feel like they're out of place. So we do have face masks available at the store for those people who may not have, maybe forgot, or may feel uncomfortable because they don't have one. We are happy to give them one to wear. And then also sanitation is a big deal. So commonly touched surfaces in the store, doorknobs, credit card machines, those kind of things. So we're making sure that they're regularly sanitized.
Great, thank you. So I'd like to ask all three of you if you have had the opportunity to take advantage of the CARES Act, if you've qualified and if you've received any rent relief or payroll protection through that initiative, and if there's any other resources out there that you have found particularly useful as you've navigated this. And Mike, you talked a little bit about the chamber, but if there's anything else like that. So maybe let's start with you, Liz, and then we'll work around the room.
Oh, goodness. That probably has been, for us, our biggest struggle. All of us are self-employed, so we typically don't qualify for certain benefits, and the CARES Act did provide us with unemployment. However, we haven't gotten, it's just now starting to kind of come through for us. So we're going to be able to go back to work, and then unemployment might kick in eventually. But at least they made that available to us. The PPP was something that I wasn't able to apply for because I don't have any employees. The grant money, I was able to get a little bit of disaster relief money for myself. I haven't received anything for the salon itself. And other than that, it was just, trying to do a lot of research and find as many options for self-employed people that were available to us.
Mike?
Yeah, so we were successful in the first round on the PPP, and were awarded what we had qualified for. That has been a great help to be able to consider to bringing our employees back as soon as we could and bringing them up to the rate of pay that they left with. They have applied. Our employees have not had to apply for unemployment before in their lives, and so that was a new experience. In some cases, it was very smooth and easy, and in other cases, it went pretty rough. But they're to the point now where they things are going smoothly for them on that front. And they were awarded just recently the extra, I think there's $600 that as a lump sum that they can also receive. So that's been very helpful for them to be able to qualify and supplement what they have not been able to earn. As far as some of the other organizations, I mentioned the chambers, all the chambers in the area have been very good about communicating and sharing information. As a profession, I work at BBSI. And BBSI has also been very proactive in sharing information with our clients. We are a client of them. I work for them, but I also am a client with them. So they've been very proactive in sharing information. There's also organizations like the AGC and other companies out there that are very willing to share information and updates from the governor's office and how other people are interacting. So I feel like we have a lot of resources available to us, and we're very grateful for that.
Kevin.
Yeah, we were able to get the PPP Act also as the first go around, but the problem with it is that it came out and then they made all the rules and regulations afterwards. So it's kind of hard when the governor shuts you down and then the PPP Act says you've got to bring your employees, have to pay your employees, but you can't open up to pay your employees. So our employees basically went on unemployment, and a lot of them have struggled with it. A lot of the benefits haven't came through yet, even as we speak, and we've been closed for so long. We also went out and got a little bit of a loan to do a remodel and clean everything up and freshen everything up. But as far as help, until you know the government regulations on the PPP and what can be forgiven and what can't, we're basically looking at it as a loan because we don't know if we'll be forgiven for any of it anyway. So,
But it is a loan with a very low interest rate. So
it is a loan with a great interest rate until you try to figure out what the government's going to do.
Right. All right, so let's talk about the positives here. So is there anything positive that has come out of this experience? A way that you maybe have streamlined something that you needed to address and haven't had the time to, or maybe you've reached a new demographic that you haven't been able to in the past through social media or something like that. So let's talk about maybe something positive that has come out of slowing down for a minute and having some time to assess your business. So let's start with you, Mike, and then we'll move around.
Yeah, I think it's opened up some great possibilities for us. I think, number one, I think sometimes you take for granted the customer base that you have. And so it's helped us step back a little bit and say, okay, were we doing enough before COVID to really attract and retain our customers? So we've had to rethink that and really fight for the right to be able to have that customer in our business. There's a lot of opportunities for them to spend their money in the community. Why would they choose to spend it with you? And so I think that's helped us. Sanitation, I think, is another thing that we necessarily weren't poor at, but we weren't the best at. So I think it's helped us to fine-tune and perfect our sanitation. Other avenues, too, as far as online, curbside service, and just coming up with some options to be able to help service our clients. Because I think our customers have truly enjoyed having some options as far as how they can shop. And I think that you will see after this passes, when it passes, that it will create some opportunities for us all to be a little bit creative on how we do business. And it's not all about just people coming into our shops, but there's other ways of being able to meet the needs of our customers and be creative about that.
So, Mike, have you had customers that have made suggestions about how you could reach them under these circumstances? Because I love your store, but one of the things I love about it is I just love wandering through it and finding all the things that I didn't even know I wanted, but I really want.
Yeah, and that's part of the experience with our store, but there are some specific things that people know that they need. We sell a variety, about 50 different olive oils and vinegars that we feel are essential for healthy cooking, and so there are some things in the store that people know specifically what they want, and so they can call ahead, tell us what they want, we'll get it ready, charge their card, and then just deliver that curbside to them. But there are people like you, Dana, who just enjoy coming in and looking through the shop. For those people who are not comfortable coming in the shop. There's some challenges there unless you do a virtual tour with them and stay on the phone with them for a period of time and kind of walk through the store, find what they're looking for. And you still do curbside service, but it just takes time, and sometimes time that we don't have, but there are options.
All right, Kevin, tell us about some of the lemonades you've made out of the lemons.
Well, like I told my wife, when in history are you able to remodel and refresh a place when all your competition is closed down? And that's basically what we've been doing. The thing that gets with me more is the community that we have and the people that come in and the people that are backing us up are, our customers, our guests. And the one thing about this all has is brought everybody closer together. I can't tell you how many times I get texts from people, or people just drive by when I'm working outside at the firehouse and stop in the parking lot and say hi. And the humanity in everything, whenever you have a bad situation, like I've said before, my wife had cancer, my son died of cancer, and that happened all at the same time. My wife's been in remission now. We celebrated that for her 10-year thing this weekend of her being in remission. I'm sorry. But the thing that comes out of bad things is humanity. It gives everybody the chance to touch their own humanity, their own humaneness, and pass that along to other people. So it's not all about me. It's about, suddenly it becomes about, what can I do? Just one gesture, one word that can help lift somebody else out. And you don't know how that, in the hard times, how just a hi and how are you doing? I've been thinking about you, how much that helps everybody. And if we can all do that and understand that, Idaho Falls, we're a close-knit community, we're friends, we're family, and in our business, we build it on love, we build it on affection, even though now we're not going to be able to hug you when you come in the door. I might get an elbow out there, I might say, hey, what's going on from 6 feet away? But that is the thing that will always endure in what we are facing right now and other problems. So if you look at a perspective like that, humanity and how we can change and help each other and stop being so self-centered. And I am guilty as anybody. But as soon as you stop being self-centered and you can look at people and say, how can I help them? What can I say to them? How can I, even though I can't pat them on the back, what can I do for them? That is the positive that comes out of anything that happens to you. And that's why, if everybody concentrated on that, and we will be so much better coming out of this than we were before going into it.
That's really great. Thanks, Kevin. We really are social creatures, and so this has been a challenge for us to be creative, to still reach out and be able to connect with each other. All right, so Liz, you're in a little bit of a different situation because you have clients that obviously if they can't come through the door and you can't interact with them, it's pretty hard to find a positive in the business. But what positive, is there a positive that's come out of it? And how have you reached out to your clients and remained in contact with them to help them know when you will be open and ready to go again?
We have been so blessed. Our clients and our customers that come to the salon have been so supportive and so kind and gone out of their way to make sure that we're okay and that we're taken care of. We miss seeing them every day. That's the hard part. But I think the biggest positive for us is it's given us a chance to take a step back and really decide what's important. I know for myself, it has reignited a passion for our industry and for what we do and the influence that we have on the community. And I believe that we are just going to be bigger, better, stronger, faster after all of this, for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the new requirements, social distancing, so that you're allowed to open your doors or that you have the opportunity to open your doors. Let's talk about the expense associated with that. Has that been a tremendous burden? Is it something that you've been able to mitigate? Let's start with Kevin.
Well, on distancing, especially in a restaurant, I mean, we're blessed because, you know, we can seat around 300 people. But I feel bad for some of these independents across the street even from us that have, you know, 10 tables. So, and it's in a very small box. And so basically you're able to sit 2, maybe 3 tables with the distancing. In our restaurant, we're seating every other booth. We space tables out. We've taken tables out to provide that space. But for the people, I mean, there's so many independent restaurateurs out there that are hurting right now, and then to be open up and then be at 50% capacity, it's a hard blow, and I hope they survive. And that's my biggest worry, that when we come out of this, you'll have good people that have put their lives and livelihoods on the line, and they won't be there anymore, because they're very good people, the independent restaurateurs that we have in this area. And yet I'm afraid that some of them, or many of them, might not be able to make it through that. But the social distancing, you know, that we do, the sanitation we do, we have the hand sanitizer stations everywhere. We're constantly wiping, everything that we can do, even above what the health department demands, the electrostatic foggers, anything that we can do, we're trying to do at the Firehouse to keep everybody safe.
Even if it costs you a little bit more.
It costs a lot of money. It
Yeah.
wasn't a little bit, but it cost a lot. But, you know, the thing is we're not, Carol and I are money centric. You know, we got in this business because we love people. We love entertaining, and we love bringing joy to people. And when you do that, like I've said before, I'd much rather not take a paycheck or take money, but have my place looking very nice. And that's the pride that each and every one of us here bring into our lives and into our businesses. And one thing you got to remember, we're not chains. We're not, you know, cookie cutter chains that every store's the same. You got demands that you got to place on you to have every store work the same, look the same. We are independent people that live here in the community, and we're all trying to do our best and to get through this. And as far as my part, I've never been negative. I've always been proactive. And so even in the worst times, I'm trying to find a way to, like this time, we remodeled in the recession, you know, when everybody else thought we were crazy. We remodeled and tripled our business. This time we got hit. Well, what am I going to do? I'm going to keep my family busy cleaning the place, and then we're going to remodel again, and we're going to add on the patio. So you have to be positive. I mean, there's so much negativity out there. You just got to be positive and push through it. And that's basically what it is. You just got to push through it. And then lighten the load of everybody else that you come in contact with. And that's how, at the end of all these things, you look at yourself and you pat yourself on the back and say, we've done a great job.
So, Kevin, I know that you closed your doors and remodeled and took advantage of the time that way. But as you talk to your other colleagues, has curbside and takeout, has it been able to sustain those businesses, or has that also been in the decline because people are a little bit concerned about where their food's coming from, and they're being a little bit more careful, and they're cooking at home more?
Well, I don't think that it's just the convenience. I don't think people are worried about the food. I think everybody does a great job in food handling and everything else, and boxing things up and everything else. The problem is that you know, a lot of these places, like our place here, if it's on the market, we'd be paying $18,000-$20,000 a month in rent, and that's the problem that you got. And then when you go, you know, some of the little spots are being okay and everything else, but when you are paying rent of even like $5,000 or $6,000 a month and you only have 12 tables, the problem that you got is you need to have that income just to pay the rent. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's going to be a struggle. It's just going to be a real struggle. And a lot of the places that I've talked to that have been doing curbside, some of them have been doing okay, others have been down 60%. And it's all over the map.
We need to remember our local businesses and shop local as much as we can. So, Mike, talk to us a little bit about the expense that you've had to incur to make all of the social distancing adjustments, And then maybe talk a little bit about the Amazon effect on a retail business like yours.
Good point, Dana. Yeah, so for us, it wasn't a huge expense. I mean, of course, prices have come down and the availability of certain things have been more readily available. And when this first happened and we were trying to find certain things, it costs an arm and a leg to get any, if you could find anything. That's loosened up a little bit, and we have been able to find some of the things we need, like face masks and sanitizer and those kind of things. But we have some signage that local. We use some local representation to be able to do that, and so there was a little bit of an expense, but not nearly as much as some industries. As far as Amazon, people feel comfortable. If they don't feel comfortable going out, then of course the people are still going to buy, whether it's because of habit or because of necessity, they're going to buy things. And so if it's easier, and I know that Amazon and any of those other people like Amazon have made it easy for people to receive things, they themselves have also have had a challenge as far as getting stuff to their customers. But for the most part, they have tried everything that they can to be able to make it easy for people to shop online and get stuff to people within a reasonable period of time. And so it always is a challenge for retail to have people look outside of our area for other opportunities, especially during COVID. If people still need to buy something, they will find a way to get it and have it shipped to them and avoid having to go out in public.
Thanks. So Liz, I know that the salon industry is a little bit different, and as you already mentioned, they have always had stringent sanitizing methods and requirements. So probably that hasn't changed a lot for you or incurred substantial additional expense, so we can expect that our haircuts aren't going to necessarily cost more. But I'm curious about something else with salons. I know that as we've battled through this challenge of COVID-19, I think where we've seen most of the divisiveness has been in the economy, and particularly in the close down, reopen requirements. And I know that there are salons out there that have chosen to open and open in advance of when the requirement allowed them to. And so my question to you is, how have you, because you have chosen to follow the rules, so has this been frustrating for you? And what would you say to your customers and to the public about that?
Oh, that definitely has caused a huge divide in our industry. I support all of us 100%, and I understand why some of them had to open before the time, because they have bills and they have families to support, and they have things they need to take care of. So I understand it. It definitely didn't level the playing field for us. I chose to have some integrity and put what was asked of us first, and luckily all of the girls at the salon were on board and wanted to support that same cause. But I understand why others had to open before we were allowed to open.
So we're probably moving into, I guess, a new normal. So my question to all of you in your industries is, what do you see, the changes that we've made through COVID-19, what do you see sticking even after a vaccine is found and we maybe get to return to things the way that I guess they used to be? What do you see that won't go back to what it was 3 months ago? Let's start with you, Mike.
I think a certain level of respect for life in general, and an appreciation for today, and having an appreciation for one's health, your family members, just those things in life that are important to you. I think that people have stepped back and realized what truly matters in life, and I think that it's caused people to reflect on what are they doing about those relationships, what are they doing about those things that really truly are important and long-term and endearing to them, and to focus on those things more, spend more time and attention on those things. I've seen that happen in my family. I've seen it happen in our community. And I'm grateful for that, and I think that will stick with us. I also think that being just more conscientious, more aware, those of us that are in business, like I mentioned before, our customers can go other places, and so what is it that we're doing different? What customer service are we offering? What experience are we offering to attract and retain the best customers that we can? And so I think that's something positive that has come out of this that I hope will stick with all of us as well.
Liz?
That's a big one. We never saw this coming, so to know what's going to stick afterwards is a little bit trickier. I know for myself, I'm trying to find ways that we can move forward and create a new piece to the puzzle and make it so that our industry has a little bit more protection if something like this were to happen again. But I do think that people have taken a big step back and realized what's important and created a little more value in their lives. So I hope that part sticks.
Kevin?
Well, I look at it and I think that for better or for worse, once the vaccine is developed and we have a herd immunity, I think it's not going to take long for everybody to get back to what they were doing before. After all, we are social people, and we might have a little different thinking on things, but I think within a year's time, we'll probably have it behind us and going on, and hoping that it doesn't happen before, and hoping that our government has learned a lesson from it to prevent that from happening.
So as we look to reopening, this is a bit of a work in progress, and there's been a lot of talk about a second wave. We don't really know what's going to happen. So my question to you as small businesses is, how are you interacting with the policymakers? How are you giving them feedback about what the policy is and how it actually applies in practice? What's the line of communication for you? Liz?
We did a meeting with East Idaho Health to kind of go over some guidelines and some protocol to move forward in our industry to add some extra safety measures. I've also spoken with the mayor of Idaho Falls, and she has been an amazing adversary for us and has been really helpful in answering any questions that I have. I have also talked to the governor's office. Not necessarily the governor himself, but I have spoken to the governor's office, just asking them maybe if there were ways that if this does happen again, if we can have a little more protection moving forward. But the thought of a second wave and not being able to work again is a little terrifying for all of us.
And I just want to clarify, Mayor Casper's been an amazing advocate, right? Not adversary.
Oh, yes, sorry. Advocate, thank you. Wrong word.
Kevin?
I've also went and been in the forums with the Eastern Idaho Health Department and kind of wade through that. I do have some displeasure with the decision making in the state as far as I think it could have been micromanaged more as far as county by county, but that's history. But I hope at some point in time that the state has more people that are in business in their focus groups before they do make these blanket challenges for everybody to abide by. So, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I want to put everything behind us and try to face this. If we do have a second go around with this, we'll take it as it comes. I mean, you just right now, what this virus has done is made everybody live day to day. You can't project out 6 months, 3 months, 4 months. You can't set a business plan for a year, 2 years, 3 years, because nobody knows what's going to happen with it. The only thing is you in your local communities and in the counties and everything else and in the state, if we would get a little bit more control in the local areas and have a little bit more feedback with the state and their decision making, I think that will help us in the next round or next go round if we have them, and hopefully we won't have a next go round.
Yeah, communication is definitely key. Mike?
Yeah, we fully trust our local governments, also the local chambers. I interact directly with 3 different chambers that are in our, well, 4 in our immediate areas. And so feedback to them and also information shared to us has been very critical. I feel like they are listening. I think they're in a mode where they are kind of an advocate for businesses. We can go higher up to the state if we need to, but I think there's organizations like the chambers that by communicating with them and keeping the lines of communication and ideas and thoughts, by sharing them with them, they can then in return share those with the people up above them that they have influence. We may not always get an audience with some of the higher ups, but I think we can go through and use some of our local governments and also some of the organizations that are around us to share that message and share our concerns through them.
Good. All right, so speaking of communication, as things shift and change and as more information comes to you, how can your customers find out about new protocols in your store and maybe changing business hours or anything that might be an adjustment to what they typically would expect when they visit your establishment? So let's start with you, Liz.
We've tried to be more active on our social media on the Eternity Salon page. We have an automated scheduling system, and I recently switched so that we could send out more mass emails, mass text messages to stay better in touch with our clients. And honestly, I've picked up the phone and called almost every one of mine over the last week. So personal contact for us is really important, and making sure that we are talking to them, because not all of them use social media. So we're just really trying to make sure we stay in contact with them on a personal level as well.
Mike?
Yeah, so social media has been a good tool for us to be able to communicate any changes in how we're doing business and expectations that we're making. Also, making sure that, when we are closed, that there's a voicemail on the phone system that is able to communicate that, or if for some reason we're not able to get to the phone, that there is a message there to communicate some of that to them, the expectations. Also signage. When you first come into to our facility, there's signage there. I went to a facility just 2 days ago, and without paying attention to what was on the outside of the window or the door, I just walked in, and then I was kind of escorted out in a way, and just said, pay attention to what's on the door. There's a huge stop sign on the door and some things there to read before entering, so that I was better prepared to have the experience that I needed to have and be protected and protect them. So I think we just need to be aware. I think that we need to also educate our customers as they come in. If we see people who are not practicing social distancing, people who are kind of congregating in groups, any of that kind of thing, I think that we just need to educate them properly as business owners, without harping on them. Nobody likes to be hounded or harped on, but I think that we can kindly educate and remind people. I think that we'll find that people are willing to comply. They just need to be reminded of what we expect, and in return, hopefully, when they go to the next store, that they'll practice better practices.
Kevin?
Well, we've also been on the social distancing side, and we'll put up notes and everything on the doors and everything else. But one thing I want to take out of this is that if people can listen to what has been said here today, a big chain, who's calling their clients and touching bases with them? Who's calling people? Who has their names to call up and say, hey, how are you doing today? Well, the people that are doing that are the small business community. It's not the big corporations. It's the small business community, the people that are in your community that are actually touching and reaching out to their guests, their customers, and making sure everybody's okay. And that's what's going to drive us forward.
So we just have time for a couple more questions. So one that I'll ask really quickly. Obviously, we've seen unemployment on the rise. That's a big concern for everybody. So as you've reopened your small businesses, have you been able to maintain the staff you had when you closed your doors? Kevin?
Well, we will be reopening. We shut down, so we'll be reopening this weekend. the problem is that we probably lost 25% of our staff through all of this, and it's easy for somebody to say, okay, you're open today. This is when you're opening. But in business, in the restaurant industry, you have to have a day or two before that to put in place basic training, to put the training in place, not only COVID-19, but alcohol, liquor requirements, health requirements, everything else. So, we're trying to balance that and getting people in and getting them trained and getting new people in and getting them trained all in such a short period of time, because you can't have any contact necessarily with these people until you get going. So it's a big hurdle for us to jump over, and I hope the government can understand the problems that businesses have with restaffing and retraining and reopening, and it's not going to be easy. But at the same time, it's something that will get done.
Liz?
Well, all of my girls lease their station, and I have one girl, for health reasons, has chosen to not return to the salon at this time. But I do have a new gal that's starting, and she's super excited, and we think this is a great time for her to come into the salon and build a clientele, because all of us that are there are going to be busy and a little bit established. So she's going to be able to take care of the people that we can't get in on a call-in basis. So we'll just keep pushing forward.
And Mike?
Yeah, we've been able to keep our past employees. We're grateful for that. We haven't lost anybody. One thing that I've seen as a concern is that in a couple of cases, there's a couple of employees that have gotten used to their mothers. They're raising their families, but I think that they enjoyed, and to some extent, the extra time that they had with their families, and so we've seen a little bit of a reluctance to pick up the same amount of hours that they had before they left, even though the hours are looking like here in the near future that they'll be able to pick up where they left off, but sensing that there's a little bit of a reluctance because they enjoyed more time with their families. And so I think that we're going to have to go out and find additional help to be able to fill in that gap.
So we're at the end of our time. I'm going to give you each the final word. What would you like to say to your customers and also to your fellow mates in the small business community? Let's start with you, Kevin.
Well, I just want to say to our guests and customers that how much we appreciate each and every one of you and your families, and how we can't wait to see your faces again. Like I said, this is an emotional business. It's something that's built on love, and you all are part of that love that comes in that door. To see your faces again is going to be great. And I wish the best for we can call them competitors, but for our local business industry. It doesn't matter. I hate to see anybody suffer. I hate to see anybody close up. I hate to see anybody that has put their lives on the line to try to better themselves and have that taken out from underneath them because of a disaster like this. I wish you the best, and I hope that all of you are successful, and each and every one of us is successful.
Liz?
I just drew a big blank. We are just so grateful to all of our customers and our guests and everybody that comes to the salon and into my second home, and spends your time with us and lets us make you feel special and pamper you. We're so blessed to do what we do. As far as everyone in town and local businesses, I just hope that the community continues to support them and goes into their businesses and buys product and does whatever they can to kind of help us get through this time.
Mike?
Yes, it's been a tough thing. It's something I've never, and I don't think any of us have experienced this or ever thought that something like this may happen in our lifetime. But I am very optimistic too. I just have an underlying feeling of peace and optimism about the future and what will come out of this. We were fortunate to be open for Mother's Day, and I do want to say thank you to our loyal customers. We surpassed, our sales surpassed what we expected, especially being in this situation. And so we were pleasantly surprised by the outpouring of support. And so we love and appreciate our customers, appreciate their loyalty, appreciate their willingness to come in, shop a little bit different, and be aware of the surroundings that they find themselves in, and be conscientious of other people, and then just practice safe shopping. I know that's a new term. Maybe we just need to practice safe shopping, and in the hopes that we're supporting each other, but also in the hopes that this won't relapse. And if we have any kind of an impact on that, we do have that control, and we can do our part to stop it from happening again.
I love that term, safe shopping. That's good. I'm going to use that. All right. I want to say thank you to Mike Richards of Love at First Bite, to Kevin LaFleur of the Firehouse Grill, and Liz Ritchie of Eternity Salon. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules and spending it with us. Thank you to all of you that joined us for the luncheon series. We will be back next week, same time, same place. If you have joined us and you're not a member of Idaho Falls Rotary, or you're not a member of the Chamber of Commerce, I would encourage you to look into both of those organizations. It's a great way to connect with your community, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
Thank you.